Have you ever wondered what happens when you finally let go? When you stop chasing and stop trying to fix things, but instead let him fill the void you've left behind? Imagine for a moment that the secret to making him regret losing you isn't about begging or pleading. It's about mastering the art of emotional detachment and walking away with dignity and confidence. In this video, I'm going to reveal a powerful strategy that will have him questioning his decisions, wanting to come back, and regretting the day he ever let you go. This isn't about playing games. It's about taking control of your life and letting him realize the true value of your presence. Now, you might be thinking, but won't he just move on without me? And that's the exact thing you need to stop believing. The reality is, when you erase yourself from his life in the right way, he won't have a choice but to feel your absence. He'll wonder where you've gone, why you're not chasing him anymore, and most importantly, why he didn't appreciate you when he had the chance. This approach isn't about being cold or manipulative. It's about standing in your own power and making a decision that says, I am worth more than this. By choosing yourself, he will feel the regret like a punch to the gut, and you'll watch him come running back, hoping he can fix what he lost. When it comes to relationships, understanding the psychology of men is crucial if you want to gain insight into why they act the way they do. Men, like anyone else, are driven by emotions, but the way they experience and express those emotions can be quite different from women. This doesn't mean they don't feel deeply or that they're incapable of regret, but understanding the nuances of their emotional makeup can give you the upper hand, especially when you're trying to make them realize what they've lost. The first thing you need to understand is that men, like women, thrive on attention and validation. In relationships, many men will continue to take you for granted, not because they don't care, but because they assume you will always be there. They get comfortable with your presence and they become accustomed to receiving love and affection without giving much thought to how much you're putting into the relationship. Here's the second part of the rewritten script. This is where emotional detachment comes in. It's about shifting the dynamic and showing them that they can't just expect your presence to be a constant without any effort on their part. When you create emotional detachment, you're not playing games, nor are you being manipulative. Instead, you're stepping back and allowing space for him to feel the absence of your energy, affection, and emotional investment. Men in particular respond to this absence with a heightened sense of longing. It's almost like a light bulb goes off and they begin to realize, wow, I didn't realize how much she meant to me until she wasn't around anymore. This shift in energy can be incredibly powerful because it taps into something primal within him, his fear of loss. Men, much like women, don't want to feel that they've lost something valuable, but they won't realize its value until it's no longer there. When you emotionally detach, you are effectively triggering this realization in a subtle yet profound way. The key here is that you need to stop giving him the attention and emotional energy you once did. No more constant texting, checking in, or being the first to initiate contact. By doing this, you're showing him that your time, energy, and affection are now reserved for yourself and your life, not just him. This is where many women go wrong. They misunderstand emotional detachment as becoming cold or distant in an unappealing way. The truth is, emotional detachment is not about cutting him off entirely or being cruel. It's about creating healthy boundaries and putting yourself in a position where you're no longer emotionally reliant on him for your happiness or sense of self-worth. When a woman emotionally detaches in a calm and composed way without drama, she communicates her strength and self-sufficiency. And that's exactly what makes her irresistible. Men are often drawn to women who know their value and don't need validation from them to feel good about themselves. Now, let's talk about why this works so well. Men are generally less likely to chase something that's always available to them. They don't experience the same emotional urgency until they feel the absence of something they thought they had. This is why making him feel erased from your life is so powerful. It creates a void that he's left to fill. When you stop chasing him, when you stop showing him that you're always available, he will naturally begin to wonder what he's lost. It's human nature to want what you can't have, and this goes for men too. However, this emotional detachment must come from a place of empowerment, not desperation. You need to do this because you understand your worth, not because you're trying to punish him or manipulate him into returning. You have to be at peace with the fact that you might move on with or without him. And that's exactly what will make you magnetic to him. One of the most important things to remember is that emotional detachment isn't just about withdrawing your energy from him. It's also about investing that energy back into yourself. Focus on your own growth, passions, and desires. When you are living a full and happy life without relying on him for validation, that's when you'll begin to see him take notice. Men are attracted to women who have their own lives, who aren't emotionally dependent on anyone else. By practicing emotional detachment, you're not only showing him the consequences of taking you for granted, but you're also taking care of yourself and your emotional well-being. In doing so, you create a space for him to feel the absence of your love and attention, and more importantly, to realize that it was never a given in the first place. Setting boundaries in a relationship can be one of the most empowering actions you take for yourself. But many women are hesitant about setting boundaries because they fear it will come across as cold or uncaring. The reality, though, is that establishing clear, healthy boundaries isn't about pushing someone away or being distant. Instead, it's about showing respect for yourself and teaching others how to treat you. And when done with intention and confidence, boundaries become a powerful tool that not only protects your emotional well-being, but also transforms the dynamics of your relationship. The first thing to understand when setting boundaries is that they come from a place of self-love, not defensiveness. Boundaries are not about rejecting or punishing the other person. They are about maintaining your sense of identity and emotional health. Too often, in an effort to avoid conflict or to keep things smooth, people ignore or suppress their needs. This leads to resentment, emotional exhaustion, and eventually a breakdown in communication. By setting boundaries, you're signaling that you are worthy of respect and that your time, energy, and emotional resources are valuable. Here's the fourth part of the rewritten script. When it comes to relationships with men, the natural instinct might be to avoid conflict or to be overly accommodating. You may feel tempted to always be the one to give, to put your partner's needs first, or to suppress your own feelings to keep things peaceful. But this is where the issue lies. When you don't set boundaries, you allow the relationship to be one-sided, with you giving and him receiving. Over time, this creates an imbalance where you're emotionally drained and he doesn't fully appreciate or recognize the value you bring to his life. Setting boundaries isn't about creating distance or coldness. It's about creating space for both partners to be their true selves. It's about knowing where you end and he begins and recognizing that you don't need to be emotionally enmeshed with him in order to be close. The act of setting boundaries communicates that you have a life outside of the relationship and that your emotional needs are just as important as his. This encourages him to view you as an equal partner rather than someone who is always at his disposal. You may wonder, how do I set boundaries without sounding cold or harsh? The answer lies in how you communicate those boundaries. The key is to remain calm, firm, and clear without becoming confrontational or emotional. You don't need to make demands or issue ultimatums. Simply express what you need in a respectful and non-accusatory manner. For example, instead of saying, "I'm sick of always being the one to reach out to you," say, "I need a balance in our communication. It's important for me that we both take turns initiating conversations and making time for each other." The tone and language you use when setting boundaries will make all the difference. Stay composed and avoid raising your voice or becoming defensive. This approach ensures that you're communicating your needs without triggering any negative reactions or pushing him away. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you're not emotionally invested in the relationship. It just means that you recognize your value and are unwilling to accept anything less than the respect you deserve. One of the most important boundaries to establish is around your time and emotional energy. It's easy to fall into the trap of giving so much of yourself that you lose sight of your own needs and desires. Whether it's constantly being available to listen to his problems or rearranging your schedule to accommodate his plans, this imbalance can leave you feeling unappreciated and emotionally drained. A healthy boundary here would be to politely let him know when you need time for yourself or when you are unable to prioritize him over your own responsibilities. Here's the fifth part of the rewritten script. For example, if he calls you late at night and you're tired, simply say, "I'd love to talk, but I'm already winding down for bed. Can we chat tomorrow?" Setting boundaries also involves recognizing when your emotional needs aren't being met and taking the initiative to express that. If you feel like he's taking you for granted or not showing the same level of commitment as you, it's important to bring this up calmly and without blame. For instance, instead of saying "you never appreciate me," you could say, "I feel like I'm giving a lot in this relationship, and I'd love to feel more appreciated in return." This approach opens up a dialogue without accusing him of wrongdoing while still expressing your feelings and needs. Ultimately, setting boundaries without being cold is about being true to yourself while remaining respectful of your partner's feelings. You're not rejecting him. You're simply ensuring that the relationship remains balanced and healthy by setting clear expectations for how you want to be treated and what you need from the relationship. You create a space where both you and your partner can grow together without sacrificing your individual identities. And when you establish boundaries with confidence and clarity, you make it clear that you are a woman who values herself, which in turn makes you even more irresistible. When you're deeply invested in a relationship, it's easy to lose sight of your own identity. You begin to prioritize his needs, his desires, and his happiness over your own, thinking that by doing so, you'll strengthen the bond between you. But the truth is, one of the most powerful things you can do in any relationship is to focus on your own life, not his. This doesn't mean you stop caring about him, but rather that you start caring more about yourself. When you put your life first, it shifts the entire dynamic of the relationship. And this shift is exactly what will make him notice your absence and come running back with a sense of regret. The key to focusing on your own life is remembering that you are a whole person before you became part of any relationship. You have passions, hobbies, goals, and dreams that are separate from the relationship. Over time, it's easy to get lost in your partner's world, especially if the relationship is emotionally intense or if he seems to take up all your mental space. But the moment you begin to prioritize your own needs, you send a powerful message that you have a life beyond him and your happiness does not depend on him or the relationship. When you focus on your life, it's not about pushing him away or withdrawing affection. It's about redirecting some of your energy into yourself, investing in your passions, nurturing your friendships, and continuing to grow as an individual. By doing so, you reestablish a sense of independence that is incredibly attractive. You become a person with depth, someone who is not only defined by the relationship, but by your own achievements, ambitions, and personal growth. Here is the sixth and final part of the rewritten script. One of the biggest mistakes women often make in relationships is becoming too available. This can be especially true when things are going well in the relationship and you feel like you want to give him all of your attention. But by constantly prioritizing his needs over yours, you send a subconscious message that your world revolves around him. This is not healthy for you, and it doesn't create a balanced, sustainable dynamic. It also leads to burnout because when you pour all your energy into him and the relationship, you have nothing left for yourself. When you begin focusing on your own life, you'll find that the emotional space you create allows both you and him to breathe and thrive. He will start to notice that you're no longer always available at his beck and call. You're out with friends, pursuing your hobbies, or taking time for self-care. He will see that your life doesn't revolve around him, and this will create a sense of longing. When a man sees that a woman has her own fulfilling life, it activates his desire to be a part of it because it's no longer something he takes for granted. The more you focus on your own life, the more you'll feel fulfilled and happy, independent of the relationship. You'll rediscover parts of yourself that may have been neglected and feel empowered in ways you haven't in a while. This sense of personal fulfillment will not only make you feel better about yourself, but it will also change the energy you bring to the relationship. Instead of feeling needy or overly dependent on him for validation, you'll be secure in the knowledge that your happiness comes from within. When you do this, you also stop seeking constant reassurance from him. You stop waiting for him to call or text because you found joy and fulfillment in other areas of your life. This shift is incredibly powerful because when you stop seeking attention from him, he may start seeking it from you. Men are naturally drawn to women who are independent, who are not constantly chasing after them or trying to secure their affection. The more you focus on your own life, the more he will see that you are a valuable, dynamic individual with or without him. This shift in perception is exactly what will make him realize the importance of your presence in his life. Another important aspect of focusing on your life is the growth that comes with it. When you stop placing all your energy into him, you begin to evolve. You find new passions, build new relationships, and create a life that's truly your own. This not only makes you more attractive, but it also strengthens your sense of self-worth. You no longer depend on him for validation because you've built a life that you love and are proud of. By focusing on yourself, you start to realize that your happiness doesn't hinge on whether he's there or not. You become emotionally self-sufficient, and this is what makes you irresistible. You're not chasing him, and you're not emotionally dependent on him. Instead, you're creating a life that is exciting, fulfilling, and worth living, whether or not he's part of it. And when he sees that, he'll want to be a part of it again, because he'll see that he is no longer the center of your world, but he is welcome in it. Keep evolving, stay true to yourself, and trust that the right relationship will align with your elevated energy and sense of self.